Hi, everybody. Welcome. Thank you so much for your time. Today, I want to talk about surviving the work from home burnout. I want to go over a little bit about my background because it's important so that you can tell why I'm doing this. I had a long history of working from home careers, so I developed my own techniques. So today we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about who I am, and we're going to talk about what you're feeling. How did the work from home affected me? How did I cope? And the techniques. And to learn these techniques, we're going to touch base on health. We're going to go a little bit into biology. I'm not going to get too deep, but enough. We're going to talk about ergonomics, the importance of work-life balance, and I call it the performance and tuning of life because we are DBAs most of our lives. So I figured that I developed that performance and tuning formula. And we're going to talk about connections and a little bit of techniques on how to help you. And important is self-care and emotional management. Okay, so who am I? I am Gilda Alvarez. I graduated from the University of Central Florida with Management Information System and Computer Science. I started working for AT&T before I graduated. I don't have that here because I did work in an office, but when I worked for IBM, I began as a database administrator. The beginning of SQL Server 7.0 and then SQL Server 2000. And at IBM, after September 11, I was given the option of working from home. And I would say it was a difficult transition during that time because we just had gone through the disaster of the September 11 disaster, and we were all trying to cope as a nation. It was sometimes I compare and I look at what we were going through now, and it was fast, but it was really it shook the nation. So when I started to develop these techniques, I had to work on a lot of the things that mentally and mental health to be able to come out of that, as well as develop a technique for my work routine. I worked for many companies hybridly. I worked from home because as a DBA, you usually work at night, and usually you can work from home. I was given the option of doing both. And then now as a manager, I fully work from home. But to me, it was working from home was what I knew how to do. So when everybody started complaining about burning out, I was like, what is going on, right? It didn't click until I realized, oh my gosh, all the things that I do, all the things that it became norm to me that allows me to have sanity. It was like, oh man, let me do this presentation and help everybody be able to come out of this alive, pretty much. So how are you feeling? So let me just guess. You feel guilty about not being productive enough. You work more than 8 hours a day. You can't fall asleep because you've been working too late at night. You're skipping lunches. You're too tired to exercise. You start ignoring family and friends. You're done with Zoom meetings. You're done with conferences. You're literally burned out. These are the symptoms. And this is exactly how I was feeling. Although we didn't have Zoom in those days, we had something else where I could connect to some people's computers and people can connect to my computer. We have, of course, Skype, Microsoft's. At that time, it was Microsoft technology to communicate through messages. And so I felt isolated. Actually, I should give another talk about why I think working from home is not the best way for us as professionals. Maybe for companies, maybe they'll save money, but at the end, I've seen the companies that I work for going to these working from home, go back to the office, working from home, go back to the office. Is something that you want to use it for those times that are needed, but not something that you want to make it work like that, because we need to have the synergy of talking and building connections, and so that you can be promoted, et cetera, et cetera. Those things you cannot get from working from home. So it affects people. But that's a whole discussion right now. We're not going to talk about that. We're going to talk about how to survive this, right? And so I felt very isolated. I did feel exhausted, and I felt depressed. All this eventually made me sick. So the first 6 months, I had no idea what hit me, right? I'm like, okay, September 11. That's it. I'm just depressed. September 11. I had a child at that time, the responsibility of the house, the responsibility. And so I decided, okay, what do I do about this? So like any other geek, you go and look for information, right? So after doing a lot of research, I found it. I found out that in the 1920s, Keeler was a scientist that was doing some tests on mice. They had some of them that were blind, that were able to, had no issues with knowing when day is night, sleep patterns, everything worked fine. And they had people that were blind that had issues with photophobia, right? They would have migraine headaches, etc. They're like, these people are blind. These people can't see. What is happening? It took us literally, my gosh, 70 years. We were blinded for 70 years to understand what was happening. It wasn't until the 1998 when Hige Provencio, discovered in the skin of a frog, he discovered a novel photopigment. And it was like, interesting. The natural light of the sun helps the brain work better. And it's not by staring at the sun, but allowing the eyes to be exposed to the natural outdoor light. Okay, so when this photoreceptor was discovered, it's called I call it the IPRGC, but it's intrinsically photosensitive retinal ganglion cell, right? When they discovered this from the frog, from the skin of the frog, they actually were able to separate it and realize that we have those receptors in our eyes. And from then on, we started to understand why people that are blind still have the capability of controlling the different areas, hormones, everything, because it's all in the retina. So what does this photoreceptor do? Let's talk a little bit about what has a connection with the hypothalamus. Some of them located in the retina allow melatonin suppression. It allows the mood regulation, emotions, sleep regulation. It helps with pain, circadian rhythm, phases, everything that you can think of. It became so important to me because I was having all kinds of hormonal problems. And what was happening is I wasn't getting out of the house. So when the pandemic hit and the fear of you can't go out because you're gonna get infected, people pretty much shook the body and did not expose the retina to what was happening outside. You're still probably, I don't know, I don't do that anymore, but in the beginning I stopped, but then I started working because I have an area that is pretty big that I can walk and I have no issues, but it took people by surprise. I don't know if you realize when you are flying to Europe or flying to the West that your body goes through this shock, your jet lag. Well, think about the whole nation in a jet lag, right? People not able to see the light caused a lot of issues with sleeping patterns, et cetera, et cetera. So, but the good news is that, like I said, it's right in front of our eyes. We can definitely move forward. This is just a little bit more details on what exactly we can benefit from this specific photo receptors. So what do I recommend? In the morning, early in the morning, like I said, I don't want you to go looking at the sun. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying is let the light have be able to have contact with the sun ray, right? So 15 minutes early in the morning, take your dog out, walk a little bit out, expose your eyes to the sun early in the morning. Don't do anything between 10 and 4 p.m. It has to be really early in the morning, and then late at night. You're gonna walk to the east for 15 minutes, and then you're gonna walk to the west for 15 minutes. Do not wear glasses, do not wear do not wear sunglasses or contacts that could put a shade into your retina, right? And that right there, with a week, a lot of things are going to change. You're going to start seeing different ways. Your mood changes. What's going on? You didn't have to pay nobody. You didn't have to do anything. You start regulating your hormones. And to me, it took me a lot of research to understand. And now I do it out of, I got to take my dog out. Might as well just, do what I need to do. So I try to coordinate it in my life that it becomes so natural, right? The next thing that happens with burnout is inflammation. And it happens because your body is being stressed. So the importance of an ergonomic environment is key. You have to have a chair that will allow you to be sitting down, or if you need a standing desk that will allow you to avoid the inflammation. I am a short person, so I have to have a chair that is for me. It is more expensive than everybody else. So you can find, if you're taller than me, of course, you're going to find something cheaper. But I need to have a chair that is going to help me. My legs cannot be dangling, and I have to have a footrest, and the eye to the monitor has to be specific. So you can eliminate a lot of the inflammation of burning out by having an ergonomic environment. Okay? Self-care. This is critical. I noticed that as I started working from home and capturing all these responsibilities, because I have to take care of the house, I have to take care of my daughter, babysitting, this, that, and then working and working at 9 because I had databases that were crashing and stuff, all that stuff. You realize that you cannot do it alone, right? And you start getting overwhelmed at home, not just in the office, but at home. So I had to develop a way of, this is not the PowerPoint presentation that I do, but usually what I tell people is, that have kids, is I had a person that would come and take care of my daughter in the house while I had the meetings, while I had all the things, and I could concentrate and work while while my daughter was taking, she was only 2 years old. So she never understood why mommy was in the office with the door closed for hours, but eventually she hated my laptop. But anyways, but what I'm trying to say is that you have to accommodate that your work is important, but your responsibilities are also important. So you have to make it in a way that you can. I have another presentation that's called Surviving as a Woman in Technology, but it talks about all that. But for here, I just want to let you know, for you, that if you have kids or things, understand that even though your house is now your new office, your responsibilities doesn't, you still have to make sure that everything else is going well. The way that I was able to battle to fight this depression and what I was going through at that time was looking for stuff that would help me bring joy. And I realized that dancing was one of the things that I enjoy the most. So I signed up for dancing. I signed up for comedy. I used to go to the beach every month. I would set up a weekend, because my marriage was also on the rocks, right? Difficult time. So I had to adjust, and that helped me a lot to connect with nature. We have so many negativity sometimes from different areas, work, family, friends, etc. When you connect with nature, you are cleaning all that energy. So connecting with nature was extremely important. Exercising, I picked up hobbies, I was reading, I did so many things that kind of made me happy. So when you're happy, you know, happy house, happy wife, happy family, whatever, that's exactly what it is. You as the person that is taking care of so many people need to start thinking about yourself and how you can be better, and then everybody else will just be fine. So self-care is very important. Also, what I did is I don't have, you know, people go and buy this mentorship uh, coaching, and you pay somebody that helps you kind of do everything in your life the way it should be. Since I didn't have that, what I did is I have this islands of specific friends. I have my technical friends that I can reach out whenever I have an issue with SQL Server, issue with Oracle. When I had issues with my daughter as she was growing up, I had the group with the moms, the really good moms that I could ask for advice. I had the group at church when I had a spiritual need. When I had the dancing community, when I wanted to learn to do something, I had my dancing community group. I had my Zumba friends. You had different circle of friends that were experts in those areas that I could reach out if I needed an advice, or if I needed to improve certain areas. So I do recommend that you have those connections built. So that's the next thing, connections. Connections are the key for surviving this fatigue. I cannot explain, because you cannot see the energy that moves between people. But when you are sitting with a person that has this amazing energy, you can feel it. You can feel it. You can absorb it. And these people irradiate so much energy that sometimes you're like, oh my God, that was a little bit overload, but I'm feeling good, right? So you find those powerhouses of energy friends that you have, that when you're feeling low, they can help you lift you up, right? You're also going to have friends that are very toxic. And at this time, I would strongly recommend that you stay a little bit away from them until you are back to normal. And I'm not saying don't ever talk to your dad or mom, whatever, but sometimes somebody calling you and complaining, et cetera, is not healthy. So you're going to have to put boundaries, right? Even at work, that the good thing is that you don't have to live with the people you work with, right? So make sure that you do connect with those people and with your friends, in a safe way. You can wear masks. You can, if they don't care to wear masks, well, they don't wear masks. But if you want to wear the mask and they don't want, at least you can, you can connect with people even during a pandemic. You just have to be very safe about it, right? And the performance and tuning work-life balance that I say is kind of like my way of not letting work take over my life, right? One of the first things that I tell people is that you have to know what you're worth. You have to know what you're worth, because people think that by working 10, 12 hours, oh my God, yes, 10, 12 hours, let me give you an award. No, that's not what it is all about. You have to understand that your value is not based on the hours you're working. Your value is based on the results. Like the other day, we were doing partitioning this giant billion rows, partitioning in different years. It took me a night to get it all done. But the company was extremely excited about what I did. Years had passed and nobody has been able to do that, but I was able to provide that. And the next day, I didn't do anything because I was able to do something that, brought results to the company. So that's what your value is. Understand that you don't have to work 10, 12 hours to be valuable to a company. Just, and the way that I think the best way to do that is by automating stuff. If you see something is taking you too long, build a PowerShell, build something that would automate that process and not have you stuck in front of the computer for too long, and let it go. And that's how you bring results and don't have to work too much, right? Outsource. That's what I tell people. I would say the luxury, because not many people can do that, but I have a lady that comes and clean the house because they clean the bathrooms, and I'm allergic to Clorox, and I get an asthma attack. So she does all that work for me. I pay nothing, $20 an hour to do that job. I can, I used to spend so much money eating out. And now that I'm saving so much money from not eating out because I'm cooking, now I can pay somebody else to go and do that work for me so that my weekends are my weekends and I can enjoy myself doing other activities with my friends and family. So gotta take those things that you can't, that takes too much time from you and outsource them. I do have somebody that does, everything in the house. I try to find, I don't cut the lawn, I don't, nothing. I have somebody else that is arranging all that, and I budget myself to do that, right? Take breaks, learn to take breaks. So like I was talking to somebody before that they were going meeting after meeting after meeting. That's bad. You don't want to do 2 meetings, after 2 meetings, another one. You want to take and put a big, especially from 10 to 10:15, I have this big break. Nobody bother me. Because if I had 2 meetings, one after the other, and I want to go over what went on, because I want to take that time to kind of analyze before I get myself into anything else. So don't do back-to-back meetings, because that will burn you very fast. So take your time. Don't be afraid to take a whole half an hour in the afternoon and in the morning, and kind of work, just stand up, go get another cup of coffee. This is the time that you were standing up and going to get a cup of coffee anyways when you were at work. So don't think that you have to be in front of the computer constantly. So take breaks. I happen to sometimes work at night, and that burns me in the morning. So what I do is I take a power nap. That's what helped me. So if that helps you, plan it. Make sure you organize your calendar where you can take. It's just 15 to 20 minutes. It's not that long, but it's going to help you. It's going to recharge you to think for that next meeting that you have. You wake up with all these new ideas, trust me. And sometimes you need it because you're burned from working late nights. And to me, that's it's by default. If I'm working till 2, 3 in the morning, I'm gonna have to take a nap the next day. That's just what it is, because I have to wake up at 7 to work at 8. So it's not enough hours. In the Latino community, we take siestas. That's something you can't do that in the office. But now that you're at home, don't feel, if you need to take that break, just measure your, and when you're talking about SQL Server and MTB is, filling up, sometimes you just have to shut down SQL Server and everything goes back to normal. Well, think about performance and tuning your energy by shutting down and restarting back up when needed. It's not all the time. Now, I'm not saying go to sleep while you're working. I'm just saying there would be times where you're going to need that nap to be more productive. And build boundaries. That is important. Say no when you can say no. When you have to say no, because sometimes you're working on many projects and you cannot take another one. Just don't feel like you're going to be able to climb this corporate ladder because you take all the jobs out there. You're going to have to know how much you can do and cannot do and be able to say no. So it is something that we need to work psychologically. This part here is a psychological rewiring of yourself, because sometimes we don't do that, and it's because you're feeling insecure. You're feeling insecure of what you're worth, and it all begins with understanding the real worth you bring to the company. And I'm sure, as technologists right now, we are very valuable. Right there, you are valuable. So there's many people that don't have those skills that we do. So think about your value as a demand, supply and demand, right? How many jobs right there are going unfilled, right? In 19 million, a million jobs. And here we are working, we're trying to do as much as we can, but we cannot fill those jobs. So your value is higher. So take that into consideration. Now, if we were doing, I don't know, some I don't know, some other job, and you have a market that's full of those people, then that's a whole different thing, right? Nah, I would have to readjust this, but I'm telling you, you're a very valuable employee because of your skills. So start thinking what your worth is so that you can start changing your psychology and eventually being able to say no and don't burn out. So I really hope that what I'm telling you, you can grab a little bit of it and try to implement it in your life in different ways. Learn to use your energy, and always remember that what I'm giving you are things that you can do anytime. You can, but there will be situations of people that are going through physical and mental problems that need to have the help of a medical assistant or a doctor or psychologist and all that. So I do need you to understand the importance of mental health, because there would be times where you just don't have that energy, and it's like there's nothing that's going to turn that car on, but you need to jump the car. So that's, and sometimes going to a specialist and getting the medication that is needed is important as well. So what I'm giving you is changes that will change your life very quickly, but there will be things and people that are going through way more things, that are not so easy to fix, and even with energy. But I really hope that what I'm giving you will help you improve your life and be more productive during this pandemic and during these uncertain times. And thank you so much. It's been a pleasure.